Hi all, my name is Haley Comet and welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet where we discuss all things astrology. And today, all things eclipse season spring 2022, aka cosmic course correction season, aka chaotic celestial season. Loves, eclipses are when there are dramatic endings and powerful new beginnings within the cosmos, particularly if you're one of the signs who are highlighted. Of course, there's an eclipse story playing out for every single one of us, and I will be breaking it down rising sign by rising sign. You can check out the timestamps below. But there are certain signs where it's like, okay, this is gonna light up my chart like the 4th of July. And the thing about eclipses is that it's beyond us, okay? With eclipses, there's a very faded karmic component to it, as in the things that will be ripped or taken, or the things that you release during this time are meant to be released for you to pave your new beginning. And also what comes into your life is a powerful new hint of where the new story lies. And if you want to gain more information on just the overall story of North Node and Taurus, South Node and Scorpio that we're moving through collectively, as well as for your sign, I do have a video for that. But in this video, we'll be breaking down the particular eclipses, April 30th and May 16th, and letting you know the collective energy as well as for your sign. And loves, if you can kindly consider, if you gain any value throughout the course of this video, if you can consider dropping a like, commenting below which part resonated or which part you are looking forward to about the eclipses, or which part you're a little bit fearful about the eclipses. I would so appreciate it. But without further ado, let's dive in. Eclipse season, spring 2022. So the first eclipse will be April 30th. It is a partial solar eclipse in the sign Taurus on the North Node. So North Node signals gain. It signals growth. It signals basically launches forward. It can be an obsessive energy. It can certainly get off balance, but it is an energy, particularly with this occurring during solar eclipse, which is a new moon. It is a powerful new beginning. An unexpected beginning, however, because this solar eclipse does conjoin Uranus. And Uranus is the unexpected energy. It is ups, it is downs, it is fluctuations. So this eclipse very much feels like the energy, because it is a new beginning, but it's not going to be the one that you would expect. And it could feel very chaotic as it's happening. It's like the sort of energy where suddenly there's a pipe burst in your home. I'm not putting that out there. It's just an example. There's a pipe burst in your home and suddenly you have to move and it feels very chaotic and scary, and there's like a lack of stability within your world, but then you get into your dream apartment and you're so happy and the love of your life happens to live next door. Like, again, we're not gonna feel it in the eye of the storm. That's the thing about eclipses. We have eclipse brain. We're running around like chickens with our heads cut off. Things can feel really chaotic. People can be really considering these huge life decisions, like, should I move to Mexico? Should I break up with my fiance? Like, all of these things where it's like, it's high emotion, essentially. Like, my mentor would always call it eclipse brain. And at this eclipse, April 30th, there can be this feeling around like chaos. And it is setting you up for something bigger and better. Like, trust me, things that are taken and given during eclipses, at the time we might not see it or recognize it, but it is for a highest and best good. And I just really want to emphasize that, is that eclipses, especially with these ones, I mean, this one conjoins Uranus, the one in May squares Saturn. This is intense energies. Things are gonna feel like a lack of stability. We're gonna be really missing like how things were, but trust me, how things are evolving is for your highest and best good. And look which house you have Taurus to realize where this highest and best good and where this chaotic energy is infusing it. So, you know, change is only one expression of Uranus. Uranus is also rebellion. Uranus is also authenticity, genius, breaking out of the mold. So there can be a new beginning that you're contemplating within your life where it's like, I really want to move to Mexico, but my family disapproves. And with Uranus, it's very much the energy of like, to thine own self be true, like electrifying the opinions of others and being bold when it comes to fleshing out your potential. And let me just reiterate that this can feel chaotic. We cannot be seeing things clearly. We can be a little bit more erratic. So if this is the first time that a move to Mexico has come into your mind, like I would wait till after the eclipses, let the dust settle and see how that decision looks then. But if it's been something where you're like, I really want to move, I really want to move. I know the neighborhood I want to move in. I know what I want to do there. I know how this supports my big picture vision. This is sort of energy where the cosmos are supporting you to go for it, like away from, the expectations of others, defying those expectations that others might place on you. So, with this eclipse, it's going to feel a little intense. It's going to feel a little chaotic, but with solar, it typically speaks to new beginnings collectively. It's a little bit more collective than it is personal, but there can also be a personal story, especially if you're one of the signs impacted, which I'll get into in a second. But also pay attention to the news around April 30th. Things are going to feel chaotic. It's not going to feel stable. There can even be some fear and some scarcity feeling, but that's sort of what we're meant to release with South Node Scorpio. Like with North Node Taurus, even though Uranus is there, so things are going to feel really erratic, really unstable. Oh gosh, I have to move and I loved where I live. Oh my gosh, just keep working. Remember, bull is very patient, one hoof in front of the other. Let me go on to Street Easy. Let me ask my realtor friends around who it is that they know. Keep taking those step-by-steps and keep anchoring into stability. Try not to freak out or let fear or paranoia around, what if I get kicked out and then I'm on the streets and then, oh my gosh, all of these things. That's what we're releasing collectively with South Node Scorpio. I want to convey to you that things can feel very intense during the eclipses. It can feel very chaotic, whether it's within your world or collectively, but take a deep breath, connect to your body, and keeping one hoof in front of the other. Like I'm just picturing like a little bull, because North Node Taurus rules a bull, and I'm just picturing a bull with like horse blinders on. I know bulls don't wear horse blinders, but like when horses are competing, they're not looking at the other horses. That's sort of the energy with North Node and Taurus. It's like there might be like all of these fires that you have to put out, or all of this nervous, erratic energy, but you just need to keep your eyes on the finish line. Even if there's hindrances on your journey, just keep, like if you're a little bull and suddenly there's a big boulder, just thinking like patiently and calmly, okay, how am I going to get around this boulder? A challenge has come up. How am I going to pragmatically and slowly and steadily work around this challenge without freaking out? That is the energy of this first eclipse. It occurs at 10 degrees Taurus. So those with fixed signs, so that is my Tauruses, my Leos, my Scorpios, my Aquariuses, between 5 to 15 degrees, we'll say, you guys are going to feel this the most intensely, and it can be a little chaotic. You could be feeling this call to make a huge change within your life, perhaps one that's unpopular with others. You could be feeling really restless, like something in my life has got to change, something has got to give. And keep in mind, like, when it comes to changes during eclipses, you will know when it's time for you to make a change. Like typically eclipses, things are pretty dramatic where it's like you feel forced to make a decision. If you don't feel forced, if it's just something that you're lightly considering, like maybe I'll move to Mexico, I wouldn't do that, because it can just be such a erratic, chaotic energy. It's not the most stable. But if it's like you all of a sudden can't live in your house any longer and you've been wanting to do this for a long time, like eclipses will sort of force you to make a decision and to go for it. So if that's you, even if it's unpopular with others, if it is true to yourself, true to your individuality, true to how it is that you want to innovate this planet, I would definitely say keep steadily moving towards that vision that you have and building that stability that you're looking for, that we're all looking for with North Node Taurus, but particularly those signs, since they are being emphasized. Okay, loves, and then the other eclipse is May 16th. It is in Scorpio at 25 degrees. It squares Saturn, and it is on the South Node. So let's all just take a deep breath before I relay this information. Because to a larger perspective, it all is going to be okay. Okay? Keep anchoring into that trust. And the worst thing that we could do is freak out and go to extremes, because that's South Node Scorpio. Remember that bull energy. Even with this eclipse on the South Node, keep channeling that energy of Taurus. Just keep, okay, oh, there's a challenge, let me work around it, rather than the bull freaking out like, a boulder, the world is ending, not the boulder. So with this eclipse, and I mentioned that, and I put this disclaimer because this one is a little bit more intense, because North Node, solar eclipse, this speaks to new beginnings. With lunar eclipses, it tends to be a little bit more personal. It tends to be a little bit more emotional. And with it on the South Node, it tends to be something around releasing, around letting something go that is no longer meant for you. And with the square to Saturn, it can be something that you have to release that you're not particularly happy about, or something where there's a heaviness on you. You feel pressured by the world. It's hard to keep your spirits high, particularly if you're one of the signs that are mainly affected, which I'll highlight which they are. And with this eclipse, while there is a higher perspective of why this is happening, it can feel devastating within the moment. Like, I don't understand why this relationship needed to end. I love this person so much. But it's like, from the universe's view, the cosmos, whatever word works for you, it's like being able to see, okay, even though you love this person, if you stay in this connection, like, you're not going to get that certification that you want, move to Mexico. And like, we don't see things like in eclipses, it's dramatic and changes. And it's like, why is this thing leaving me? Like, I don't understand. But from the universe's perspective, it's like, trust me, I've got something so much better planned. But the better plan isn't necessarily going to permeate by the 16th. Like, that's going to, you know, eclipse energy is active for like basically the next 6 months, truly. So the story is just beginning. You know, the nodes are newly in Taurus and Scorpio, so the story is just beginning. So what I really want to convey here is that if something departs your life during this time, trust that it is meant to leave. As heartbreaking and as devastating as that can be to wrap up a particular era, to wrap up a particular relationship, a particular career, trust me when I say it is paving the way for something better. It's going to be hard to see that in the moment, especially with the square to Saturn. We can just feel forced. It can feel very heavy. We can feel restricted. We might not be able to see, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel at this moment. But I do recommend just anchoring into what it is that gives you a feeling of stability. Like, for a lot of people, especially the signs that are mainly affected by this eclipse, there can be this feeling around, oh my gosh, everything in my life is transforming. But I want you to attune your focus towards what in your life is not. Like, what in your life is stable. Like, maybe your relationship is falling apart, but your career, at least you can just show up, do your job, same people, and that stability sort of is the anchoring for you. Or maybe you're having like a devastating best friend breakup, but you know that, you know, the relationship that you have with your cousins, like, that is your rock, that is your anchor, that is your foundation, that grants that feeling of stability as we move through these devastating losses. Because with the energy in Scorpio, it's not light. And with it squaring Saturn, it can just be collective devastation around grieving the old version of how our life looked like, you know, before everything happened, or grieving particular people, or grieving what the world should look like. Like, Saturn really brings in these themes around structures and government. So there also can be news around this, you know, eclipse that brings up these really devastating emotional feelings that, like, just the state of the world. And I never want to on my channel just be like positive Pollyanna and you know, wash over all of the horrific things that are happening within the world. But I just want to mention within this that the worst thing we can do really with South Node Scorpio is allow that energy to doom spiral. Like with North Node Taurus, connect to nature, connect to what in your life is stable, the love that is real when you go outside, the nature that is real, the safety that is real within your life. Continue to anchor into that, even if a lot of things feel really intense or even devastating. And I don't mean to scare anyone. For many people, this ending energy can be around a certain mindset that you had, a certain era that's over, a certain version to yourself. Like, that's the devastating part about, you know, evolution and transformation, is that we can miss our old self, but there's so much better ahead. And while we're getting this opportunity with this eclipse to grieve the past, don't forget to continue to build the future. And with the trine to Jupiter and Neptune, like allowing yourself to see the higher perspective of it. Like, okay, I loved the version of myself when I was in college, but I see now that that time in my life is done. Like, being able to see that higher perspective. I loved this person, but I see now that our relationship was getting toxic, which is another part of South Node Scorpio, is releasing any self-destructive tendencies and how that can show up within connection. So again, if a connection leaves during this time, trust that. Like, continue to choose what's stable in your world, what's real in your world, what grants a feeling of stability, whether that is yourself, your friends, the elements of your life that are healthy, stable, continuing to connect with your senses when things feel chaotic, and notice what self-destructive tendencies are coming up within your connections or even within yourself. With a trine to Jupiter and Neptune, we might be able to gain access around, okay, I see why that connection didn't work out, that friend didn't work out, like being able to have that spiritual higher perspective on the matter. Hey all, editing me here. Just wanted to pop in with a quick note because I forgot to mention it while filming that this eclipse happens at 25 degrees Scorpio. So those who have fixed placements, so that is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius, between 20 to 29 degrees will feel it the most, as well as those who have angles, which is your ascendant, your IC, your descendant, or your midheaven within your chart. You will be feeling this second eclipse the most. And I also wanted to mention for both eclipses that you'll feel it the most personally if it impacts an angle within your chart or a personal placement. So your sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, or Mars. If it impacts your Jupiter, Saturn, sure, it might be a significant eclipse, but it could be more significant generationally or collectively for those and with those that you share that placement with. So back to the video and back to sign by sign forecast. So now I'm going to take it rising sign by rising sign. So when I take it into each piece, I'm going to mention the rising sign that it will most likely be, as well as the degrees you should look for. Now, if you use Placidus astrology, I do as well. I'm going to bucket it by house. So I'm going to say this rising, or you have 10 degrees Taurus in this house, 25 degrees Scorpio in this house. So you'll just need to look at your chart. If you use Placidus, it is a house system that attunes your focus to the details of a chart. And let's say you have 10 degrees Taurus in, the first house, but 25 degrees Scorpio, the second eclipse is in your 8th house. Make sure to listen to both. So just pay attention to the degrees if that resonates for you. If not, just find your rising sign. Editing me here, also just want to mention, listen to your sun sign as well, because solar houses you could also find are relevant within your world. So let's start if you have 10 degrees Taurus in your first house, 25 degrees Scorpio in your 7th house, otherwise known as likely a Taurus rising. So loves, you are being asked to choose yourself. And there can be a lot in your life that feels like it is unstable. There can be pressures, you've got Saturn in the 10th. There can be pressures at work. You're having to, build your foundation of your reputation. And with South Node Scorpio, there can be certain tendencies that you are releasing within relationships. You even could be releasing a particular connection around that second eclipse. And if you are in a steady union, like I don't want you to feel like you have to break up just because astrology is saying it, that's not it at all. It can be releasing certain destructive tendencies that you have within the connection, like constantly, nagging this person on their qualities, or constantly, getting inebriated with this person, even if it leads to fights. Like noticing those self-destructive tendencies of where you can lash out at each other or invite in darkness into your world throughout the connection, and releasing and purging those tendencies. For some people, there can be an illumination in these eclipses where it's like, okay, this connection has played its time and it's time to let you go. Even though it's sad, it's devastating with that second eclipse, May 16th, trust and choose yourself, okay? With North Node Taurus, you are being asked to advocate for yourself. You're being asked to put yourself out there, and you're being asked to make drastic changes, even if they don't make sense to other people. These changes could be in your appearance. These changes could be in your outlook. These changes could be within your physical life, but the big united theme around it is around knowing that you are an active co-creator in this existence, and you deserve to take action on what it is that you long for and what it is that you want to build within your world. Trust in the person that you are becoming, even when it's scary. And it's so funny because I know Taurus risings really appreciate stability and security, and things can feel really up and down, but you are being asked to make some, drastic decisions. And, eclipses are an ongoing story. You could feel this energy light up more so towards the second round of eclipses that we have this year. So don't feel like this message is for every single person, but for the people it's for, there is something you're contemplating. It might be unpopular for the one-to-one connections within your life. Other people might think you're weird for it, but choose yourself, trust yourself. You are being asked to put yourself out there and go after what it is that you really want in this world, even if it feels chaotic in the moment. Trust me, you will come back to that even keel Taurus rising self that we know and love. But at this time, you can be encouraged to make a decision and to let go of certain partnerships or certain tendencies within partnerships that have been hindering your journey. And this isn't going to resonate for every single person who has this, but for some of you, it can be letting go of a particular career because of that second eclipse. It's squaring Saturn, which is in your 10th house. For some of you, could be conjoining your midheaven. So it could be, you know, if there's been certain toxic tendencies with your coworkers, with your bosses, there can be energy where it's like, I've got to choose myself. I've got to go my own way. I've got to advocate myself. Even though it's scary to take this leap, to move to this new city, get this new job, I need to trust in myself and trust in the insights that are being generated. This is if you have 10 degrees Taurus in your second house, 25 degrees Scorpio in your 8th house, or you could potentially be an Aries rising. So you are being asked to anchor into your self-sufficiency love. And this can be taking that slow and steady, methodical Taurus approach to your finances, to creating stability for yourself. There can be certain fluctuations, especially with the first eclipse, conjoining Uranus. I could have started a new online business of some sort or start a new stream of income. But I just want you to continue to be patient, like one step in front of the other. Things could sort of go up and down. Like you could lose a stream of income and be really scared and then make up a new one and make 3 times that. Like, trust in the fluctuations of it and continually work to build that stability when it comes to your finances. Continue to work to build, you know, your skill sets, things of the nature, because you are being asked to advocate and assert yourself and build for yourself. Because with the second eclipse with South Node 8th house, there is an element of support that can be released during this time. So, you know, your parents cut you off, or there's some sort of, you know, change to child support and then you don't get as much, or any sort of money that comes to you from other people. So like a scholarship money that you thought was going to come through didn't. Like, there can be an energy where you might feel this sensation around, oh, who can I trust? And I know, because a lot of people who have this will be Aries risings, and it's like, trust me, you can trust yourself. And I know you typically are quite independent. And with this eclipse story, like, you really are creating this really solid foundation to either build your nest egg or pay off your debts or invest in something that you like. Like, that's the story for you for the next year and a half, is building your skill sets, is building your finances, building your nest egg, building your savings. But it's going to take patience. Like within Taurus, it's one hoof in front of the other. If there's a change to your income, just continuing to look around for opportunities, to bolster your skill sets, and try at this time not to rely too much on the income or the support that comes to you from others, because you can find that it falls through. For some, you can find that you are releasing a certain era of your life. You can be releasing or grieving a loss within your world. And with North Node Taurus, remember in those moments when things feel really intense and devastating, particularly around that second eclipse, anchor into what is real, anchor into your senses. And since the second eclipse is receiving this square to Saturn in your 11th, there can be this energy where it's like, to continue to build up my nest egg and my savings, like I can't go out with my friends as much as I want to. Or you can be feeling really apathetic or down on yourself. Like, how am I ever going to reach my long-term goals if this is how much I have to save every month? Or this is, you know, my money goals that I have and I have to be pragmatic about it. How am I going to be, you know, riding around a Ferrari or buying a house one day? But trust me, just continue to anchor into patience. Remember your priorities. Remember what it is that you are building. So loves, if you have 10 degrees Taurus in your 3rd house, 25 degrees Scorpio within your 9th house, likely Pisces risings. So for you, there is this energy around anchoring into the stability that's found immediately around you. Like, you can have a grass is greener syndrome that can be brought up with this, around always daydreaming, always wishing that you were somewhere else, always wanting to, you know, travel, or feeling like wisdom or adventure is out there and there's nothing interesting here. But with these eclipses, you're really being asked to anchor in the stability that is found around you, found within, you know, your neighborhood, your neighbors, your extended family, and looking for opportunities to learn from those people. Like, there can be this sensation around, I'm so over this place, I'm so bored of my life, I want to go somewhere different, I want to experience something different. But there can be inspiration found found within your own backyard, to be corny. There can be, you know, a inspiration around a new mental interest that you want to dive into. For some of you, you can find that particularly around the first eclipse, you can get this divinely inspired new idea that you want to communicate. You want to write a book, you want to start a blog, you want to start a podcast, you want to communicate, you want to speak your truth. And even if you don't necessarily want to, you know, put it out on a blog, there can be a new call around writing down your ideas or around speaking your truth, maybe within your connections around you, and continually working to see every day as an opportunity to create something new and learn something new. You don't need to be on a flight to Bali in order to live a really inspired life. And that's what this eclipse is bringing up for you. In that second eclipse, there can be this letting go or this grieving. For some of you, you can be, you know, graduating, and there's like this sense of loss or the sense of devastation around releasing, you know, that higher learning experience, wrapping up with a bow. For some of you, there can be certain travel plans that didn't come through, and there can be a sense of loss around it. For some of you, you can be releasing a certain religion that no longer serves you, or spirituality, or big picture vision. Like, allow yourself to really anchor into what is real and tangible within your reality. I know it's not always easy because a lot of people at this will be Pisces risings, but allow yourself to connect to what it is that you can touch, the people that you can see, like what's right around you, and sort of getting out of that daydreamy space around, I wish I was here, I wish I could do this. It's like anchor into your physical experience, anchor into your mind, anchor into your words, speak your truth. That's what these eclipses are bringing to the surface. So if you have 10 degrees Taurus in your 4th house, 25 degrees Scorpio in your 10th house, likely Aquarius rising. So as a fixed sign, this is lighting up your chart like the 4th of July, so it's likely to be a little bit more intense for you. And with the first eclipse, there can be a new start or new beginning as it relates to your home. So for some of you, there can be changes within the home, like you have to move, new neighbor moves in and they're super loud and you can't get anything done there, so you feel called to want to move out, or some other motivation that drives you to want to change your living circumstances. For some of you, it can just be around renovation. I wouldn't say taking it on during eclipses because it could be sort of chaotic, but notice what comes to the surface around, wow, I really wish I had a reading nook, and like Pinterest a reading nook. Like, allow yourself to anchor into your sanctuary and to feel safe there. There can be, you know, dramatic moves, or, you know, like a sudden move, putting in an offer in a house and all of a sudden you got it in this market. So you're like, oh my gosh, we have to move right away, or something of that nature. There can be a lot of chaos there. And you really are being asked to anchor in and to invest in your sacred space. And with the second eclipse, there can be a letting go around a certain path that you thought was for you when it comes to career. There can be letting go of a certain authority figure. There could be letting go of certain expectations that a father or paternal figure had of you. And it could be devastating. You'd be like, wow, I really thought that's what I wanted, but now that I'm here, I'm realizing it's really not what I want at all, and it's not what I want to build. Because with the second eclipse, it's squaring Saturn in your first. So, you know, you're having to get really conscious of time. That's the whole part of Saturn transits. It's like you notice time in all of its ways, how little time we have, how little time you have within your schedule, how much putting time into things impacts the final result. Your eye is being drawn to time. So there can be a letting go around, I really thought this was the career for me, but I just don't have enough time to invest in it, especially when I'm really feeling called to nurture and to anchor into my private life. And that's what you're supported to do with North Node 4th house, as well as releasing expectations of what other people wanted for you. Like, is this dream yours, or is this just what you thought you should do, what you thought looked good within the public eye? There can be a letting go of that. So if you have 10 degrees Taurus within your 5th house, 25 degrees Scorpio within your 11th house, likely Capricorn rising. So Capricorn rising is being called to anchor into your play. So around the first eclipse, you can meet someone that you like, that you have a little flirty connection with, or if you're in a relationship, you could find that you're really able to inspire that flirty energy. For some Capricorn risings, children themes can be brought forward. So you could be trying to conceive, you could conceive unexpectedly with Uranus around there. So be mindful for that if you don't necessarily want that to happen. Or you could be honoring your own inner child or just unexpected events around children. And fifth house is also creativity, self-expression. So allowing yourself this new start to really reclaim your time and to put energy towards how it is that you want to shine, how it is that you want to show up. Like, it's really fun actually, this nodal cycle for you guys, because you know, Capricorn rising is typically a sign that takes everything so seriously. And with this, you're really being asked to anchor into your play, anchor into what lights you up, what inspires you, what inspires your inner child. Prioritize that. And with the second eclipse, there can be a letting go of certain friendships that have run their course. And just remember what I said earlier, which is around, we might not see it in the moment, but trust that this particular ending needed to happen to set you up for something even more aligned, even though it's harder to see within that moment. And with North Node, fifth house, you really are being asked to celebrate and to shine your own light and not allow it to really be dimmed by other people. So if you're around individuals and you're like, oh, every time I'm around that person, they just make me close up. I just feel so heavy around them. It can feel selfish at times to walk away from those connections because it takes such an imprint on us. But truly, with North Node, fifth house, you are being asked to put your pleasure, your joy, and your play to the center. And you rarely do that, Capricorn rising. So you're really being asked to do that. And with the, you know, Uranus also in that house, that can be unexpected to people. People are like, what are you talking about? You're always the strong friend. What are you talking about that you don't want to listen to me talk about my fifth breakup with this person on the phone for 2 hours? Like, what? And it's like, you need to prioritize your own lightness, your own lust for life during these eclipses, and be willing to let go of any friend or any colleague who isn't really contributing to that. Some with this can be letting go of certain dreams that they had for the future. Like with North Node, fifth house, continually work to anchor into play, anchor into lightness. Even if things feel unsteady, which they will during this eclipse, continually anchor to the present moment. Like, okay, the news is kind of crazy, but I'm still gonna go to the park and color. I'm still gonna make the most of today because today is a gift and I'm not gonna take it for granted, even if tomorrow feels uncertain. So continually lean into that. So if you have 10 degrees Taurus in your 6th house and 25 degrees Scorpio within your 12th house, potentially Sagittarius rising, you're being asked with this first eclipse to really have this fresh new energy, fresh new start around your habits, around your schedule, around how it is that you conduct your day to day. You could be calling in some really drastic changes to it. Like you could be feeling like, hey, I'm tired of feeling exhausted all the time. I wonder if shifting my diet would do this. Or, hey, I'm sick of making excuses why I'm not working out. I wonder what would happen if I got there, and really taking action on it. So for some, there could be a new start around a new position. There could be a new start around a new pet. But there really is this new start around your responsibilities and anchoring them in the maintenance of life and realizing how much these micro decisions we make every day impact the big picture, right? And 6th house brings forward themes of health. So it could be a new start to your health journey, a new mindset that you have around health, around dental health, anything of that nature. And I know it's not the most fun and crazy house, but trust me when I say that it will echo out into the rest of your reality when you put those maintenance items of life forefront, particularly through these eclipses. And with Uranus, you know, it could be a big change, a big diet change, a big exercise change, a big work change, a big pet change, but continually work to ground down into your daily routine to know that you are worth a life where you feel good, where you are taking care of yourself. And with the second eclipse, there can be a certain letting go energy around your subconscious processing. So there can be certain self-destructive tendencies that you have within your own brain. For some individuals during this, addictive tendencies can really come to the surface, like noticing what it is that you utilize to escape and noticing, is this serving me or is this wreaking havoc on my body, mind, and soul? And with North Node Taurus in 6th house, you're being asked to choose stability. And yes, it can be boring getting up at 5 and doing Pilates and like all of these little things. Like it can feel boring, particularly if we've been operating in chaos or we've been, you know, getting those chemicals in our brain from synthetic substances, if you catch my drift. With South Node 12th house, we really get this opportunity around that second eclipse. It can feel devastating to let go of what it is that we've relied on to self-soothe or to cope. But trust me when I say that really constructive, healthy, stable habits are the best here. And there can be certain self-destructive tendencies that you've had that are being brought to the surface. Let them go. Anchor into your reality, show up, do your work. So if you have 10 degrees Taurus within your 7th house, 25 degrees Scorpio within your 1st. So likely Scorpio risings. Love for you, there really is changes in store when it comes to your connections. So they could be powerful new ones, there could be letting go of old ones, but the core defining part of all of it is this energy of fate or of karma. Like the individuals who come into your life can be individuals who really teach you powerful life lessons. And the individuals who leave can really be paving the way for a brand new start that you have within relationships. With North Node Taurus, continue to anchor into stable, healthy partnerships. Even if they feel boring, sometimes when we've been operating on roller coasters of highs and lows within connections, when we get into really stable union, we can perceive it as boring, or our nervous system is like, this can't be the person, I don't get any butterflies. But trust me when I say, particularly during this transit, really anchor into those connections that feel stable, that feel safe, and be open to new connections. Because with South Node 1st house, you are letting go of a prior version of yourself, okay? And that can feel heartbreaking. It can be like, wow, I miss the self that, used to drink, or I miss the self who showed up when I was at that job. But when you have eclipses in your own signs, like it's gonna be a transformative cycle. And this is for 1.5 years, so the story's not over yet. But during these eclipses, it can really bring to the surface around missing and grieving that prior version of yourself so that you can step into the new one. And for some, there can be this loss of self or this loss of identity around, who am I? Like, what is going on? There can be the sensation of feeling lost at sea. And I would just encourage you, since North Node's in your 7th house, you can find one-to-one connections, can sort of ground you during that time. And there can be a powerful new start within connections on the 1st eclipse on the 30th. So being open to connecting with new individuals, noticing who it is that you meet during it, as well as being able to set up the foundation to interact with people in a very stable, healthy way, like sort of setting up that scene. So even if it's not meeting, Mrs. or Mr. Right, it could be the energy around doing the inner work and doing the healing so that you are attracting the right sort of people and setting up this solid new foundation. So if you have 10 degrees Taurus in your 8th house, 25 degrees Scorpio in your 2nd house, likely Libra rising. So with the 1st eclipse on April 30th, there's this new start when it comes to support that you receive from others. You can find that, your spouse wants to support you, or finally a lawsuit is coming to an end and you're getting this new stream of income towards you. Child support is being worked out. There can be a new start, not to say that the check will necessarily show up, but the foundation is being paved, and you can find that other people are willing to help you and to support you. So being open to receiving that support, because it can really create this energy of anchoring, of grounding. And with the 2nd eclipse, there can be a certain energy around releasing a certain stream of income, and if it is no longer serving you. And with the square to Saturn, there can be an energy around feeling limited when it comes to your hobbies, your recreational activities. Like you could find that you have like less resources or less money for it. And I'm not trying to put it out there like that. You could just be getting more serious about your finances, so you don't have as much, money or disposable income to be like, I want to go to the concert, I want to do all these things. But with North Node 8th house, you can find that a lot of people are willing to support you and let yourself grieve what it is that you're letting go of. No, it won't manifest as a loss of income for every single person. It could just be wrapping up a job that you're through with, wrapping up a particular project, or wrapping up a certain self-destructive story that you've told yourself around your worthiness, because 2nd house is beyond just money. It's also self-worth. So with South Node Scorpio, it can be about, how you've lowballed yourself financially. Like if you own your own business, if you've set your prices too low, and around how that's like self-destructive in a way that you aren't being adequately paid for the energy invested. Like there can be an illumination of that and a need to let go of that particular chapter, or bring to the surface those self-destructive tendencies, as well as if you have self-destructive tendencies when it comes to how it is that you spend your money, there can be a releasing of that and a need to get more serious about how it is that you spend your time, or maybe Ask someone else for help with North Node Taurus in the 8th house, whether it's a financial advisor, a spouse. Asking other people for financial help could also be helpful at this time as you release any destructive financial tendencies you have, or release a particular era when it comes to how it is that you deal with your money. If you have 10 degrees Taurus in your 9th house, 25 degrees Scorpio in your 3rd house, likely Virgo rising. So for you, love, you are being asked to look at the forest for the forest and not the trees. Like with South Node Scorpio, there can be destructive tendencies around you overthinking all the details. And with that second eclipse, there can be this letting go energy or this grieving energy around not caring as much, or like not worrying so much, or noticing all the detrimental effects and all the negative energy that you constantly worrying and assuming the worst is bringing into your world. There can be an energy around being less inclined to be on social media. You can find that you feel a little bit more introverted because the new beginning that's playing out as part of these eclipses with North Node in 9th house is attuning to the big picture. And with the square to Saturn on the second eclipse, Saturn's in your 6th house, there can be an energy around, okay, I have limited time. I am busy. I need to release scrolling on TikTok for hours. I need to release constantly texting my friends every little update. I need to release all of these energy leakages, both within my mental space as well as in my day-to-day timing, in order to connect to the big picture. Like being able to take that step back in my life and be like, okay, what is it that I believe in? What are my bigger priorities? And am I giving time to that? Like if I, have a spiritual connection, am I giving time to meditate, to pull cards, whatever it is that makes me feel connected? If I dream of going to Bali, like am I setting up the plans to do it, or am I just looking at pictures of Bali on Pinterest? Like it really is about taking this step back in our reality and like really attuning to what is the big picture here? What is it that I'm building within my world? Am I utilizing my time adequately? And with that second eclipse, you can find you're releasing a mental habit or something that you are feeding your mind that could be bringing in negative energy, or just could be taking up too much of your energy and you're not able to see the big picture of your life, essentially. And if you have 10 degrees Taurus within your 10th house, 25 degrees Scorpio within your 4th house, most likely Leo rising. So again, for my fixed signs, your guys' charts are being lit up. So there can be some changes taking place within these eclipses, loves. And for yours, it's thrusting you into the limelight, into the spotlight, into career. You could find that you get a sudden promotion you weren't expecting, or a sudden change in what it is that you are doing. Uranus, especially with that first eclipse, your new beginning could be unexpected of sorts. And with South Node 4th house, with that second eclipse, there can be a grieving or a letting go, and there can be a certain, connection with a family member where, you love that person, but it's best for you guys to take a break from one another. Or if there's any toxic sort of psychological patterns that have been ingrained into you from your family or from your private world, this is sort of the energy where you can sort of grieve it and let go. And to a more, overall level, this can manifest for a lot of individuals as having less time to spend with family, less time to spend at home, because they are being so pushed into career growth and changes, because North Node signals gain, and that thing is shooting up to the top of your chart, love. So you can find during the eclipses things get really hectic, more clients, more business, more visibility. And I want you to seize that and activate it, and know that, the opportunities that are coming to you at this time could be ones that are very soulfully aligned, and you could have less time to really be hidden within your private sanctuary. You could have to put yourself out there. You could have to allocate your time so that you're out in the limelight, seizing all of these opportunities. So I want you to lean into it, particularly notice what comes your way towards the end of April. And then in the middle of May, you may need to allocate your time or let go of particular emotional habits that are sort of impacting your productivity, or rather just your seizing of all this energy going into your 10th house, which is the house of career and public persona. And for Leo risings, you can find that because Saturn is in your 7th house, there can be a lot of pressure from your one-to-one contacts around, why aren't you spending more time with me? And Saturn in the 7th, this is really a make it or break it transit when it comes to your relationships. And that's going to be highlighted with the second eclipse. There can be energy around, how am I going to be your wife and also get, this new promotion and hold down the fort? You can feel that your energy is scattered in so many different directions that you're like, how can I be everything to everyone? And you can't. So you need to prioritize yourself, what it is that you are building. Like with Saturn 7th house, I'm not saying everyone will go through a breakup, but it's a sort of energy where it's like you guys are either moving in the same direction, building the same future, have the same values, have the same priorities, or it can be a transit where you realize like it's time for you guys to go into different directions. And if you have 10 degrees Taurus in your 11th house, 25 degrees Scorpio within your 5th house, so most likely a Cancer rising. So love, you are being asked to, with the first eclipse, you have this new start when it comes to your connections, to your friendships, to ensure that you feel like your friends got you, essentially. Like to really be around individuals who ground you down when life feels chaotic. There can be new friends that are invited into your world during the eclipses. There can be changes within your friendship circles, but I want you to really anchor into the friendships who feel like home to you, who ground you down when things feel chaotic, as well as creating time for those social, interactions, allowing them to ground you, allowing your dreams to ground you, because 11th house is the house of hopes and dreams. So you can find, this present moment might feel up and down, but like dreaming about one day, I'm going to be able to do this for humanity, and allowing those dreams to sustain you, even if the present moment feels rather chaotic, like continually nurturing and giving to those particular dreams. And with the second eclipse, there can be a letting go of a situationship that, is not aligned for you. Like keep in mind with North Node, 11th house, you're being asked to prioritize building for tomorrow. You're being asked to prioritize networking, socializing. So if there's connections that you're in where it's like just for fun or just for today, you can be asked during that eclipse to let those connections go, as well as any hobbies that are no longer serving you or any way that you spend your time that's fun. Allow yourself the space to transform what is fun for you, because with these eclipses, building your future will be more fun. Building the future for humanity will be more fun. Connecting with people who are also inspired about what it is that you're inspired by will be more fun. So put yourself out there. A lot of people with this will be Cancer rising, so it's time to get out of the shell. And the eclipses, things can feel a little bit more hectic with that, but you're being asked to prioritize building your stable future. Editing me here, you also could be asked during the second eclipse, outside of just romantic connections, there can also be a releasing or a shedding of any sort of hobby that you do for fun. So it's like, I used to love going out drinking and I just don't enjoy it anymore. I'm not inspired by these party friends of mine. Like you're more so prioritizing being around individuals who inspire you, colleagues who are like-minded or have similar ambitions. So invite in this fluctuation when it comes to what it is that you consider fun, how it is that you spend your free time, and put more of that energy towards getting around people and getting in situations that inspire you and make you feel more ambitious, rather into just wild for tonight sort of situations. And also just like, even if it's not partying, like letting go of certain hobbies where it's like, I used to love video games and now I don't. I used to love painting and now I don't. Like allowing yourself that fluctuation when it comes to what it is that you consider fun. And if you have 10 degrees Taurus in your 12th house, 25 degrees Scorpio within your 6th house. So this will be likely Gemini rising. So Gemini risings, where your new start is taking place, is around a very private portion of the chart. So things can feel very active in your world, but even the people around you might not necessarily pick up on it or pick up on the intricacies of it, because it's happening sort of deep down. Like there's changes to your psychology, like building your inner world so that it's stable and it grounds you. There can be a priority around anchoring into your private world. Like for some of you with the second eclipse, you can be releasing, running around, working for everyone, scattering your energy without having time to heal, without having time to come inward, without having time to connect to what it is that you hold dear. So there can be a releasing of a job that's no longer serving, of errands that are no longer serving, delegating in order to create more time to be able to nurture your inner world and make it as supportive as possible, because you guys are constructing this bigger picture of reality, right? You have Saturn going through your 9th house, which is squaring that second eclipse. So there can be this energy around, okay, if I want to get my master's, why am I running around working these 3 jobs when like 2 of these jobs I'm barely breaking even because of subway fees to get there. Like, let me continue to put the work towards my big picture and release what's sort of just sucking my energy levels, and releasing how it is that I spend my day to day that is just not serving me, and on the more extreme side could be bringing negative energy into my life, like destructive daily habits that you have, things of that nature. Find that inner grounding from within and prioritize that, especially during these eclipses. Loves, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, no fear. These are cosmic course corrections that are allowing us to reach our highest and best good, even though it can feel very chaotic and at times very sad within the moment. Keep anchoring into that truth that from a larger perspective, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. So loves, my Instagram handle is @HaleyCommentAstrology. My TikTok is the same. And until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.